fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get involved!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
It's a track of all tracks. And surprisingly, it has not been on the calendar as long as many people have anticipated. Of course, when Senna and Prost immortalized this circuit forever as the great final round of a championship, forever, it had only been on the Formula One calendar for the tune of about 4 years. This place pretty much rose up immediately as one of the great finishing places for motorsport. Forever will be enshrined as one of the great tracks, and it will be this great moment where times will get put together, some brilliant 26 laps will be raced, and the 5th round of your iRacing Grand Prix Series will find itself in view. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. I'm Jake Sperry, Jay Kennedy, along with me for the ride to one of only a handful of figure 8 circuits on the iRacing service, but without a shadow of a doubt, and forgive me for the bias of Oran Park not being my number one on that list, Jay, but this is the best figure 8 circuit in the world. It has every element of character towards it. Plus, on top of that, you've got that brilliant run to the Casio Triangle, that run through 130R, the left-hander, Suzuka Mie Prefecture, Japan. This is probably one of my most favorite circuits to see go and have racing.
I'm not going to disagree about this being one of the best figure 8s in the world. It's a brilliant track, and it always provides great racing. Doesn't matter what series, whether you got high power, low power, high downforce, low downforce cars, there's always some brilliant racing to be had. And last time we were here, we saw a brilliant race. No doubt today we're going to see another amazing race. As you said, that run out of Spoon, down the back straight, and the alternate pit lane, and the run into Casio Triangle through 130R. It's an incredible run. The S's always provide a little bit of interest early on in the race, and can also find some drivers that try and push a little bit too hard, unsettle them during the mid portion of the race when they become a little bit complacent, I guess is the right word. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It should be very, very fun.
Should be fun, should be fast, and should be an interesting battle for qualifying, because for the first time this season, really, Jay, this is split 3 ways and not the traditional 2. We were a little bit surprised to see it split 3 ways. This is how they look running into this round of the championship. Oliver Stepanov in control, 813 points. But this is a really close championship. Luis Nunez, Marcel Fassbender, Anthony Cat, and Kalen Chin, the top 5, all within 50 points right now.
And I think the big thing to take away from looking at those points is today is going to be a make or break race for every single driver in the field. It is huge points up for grabs, one of the biggest strength of fields we've seen in a long time. So it means that winning today is as valuable as 2 wins at most other rounds. So this is going to be very, very important. And as you said, qualifying is going to be intense as well. It's underway, and a little bit of a surprise at the pointy end so far.
Yeah, Tamas Simon, currently the quickest driver of the lot at this point in time, but we do have drivers out there on circuit trying to find their respective laps. One of them is Tamas Simon. You can see him right now in the traditional white that he likes to run, using all of the curb, heading over through Spoon. And interestingly enough, he's gone out on the yellow wall medium compound tyres. Everyone started their qualifying on the red walled softs. A number of drivers have decided to go out on the mediums and try and get some understanding of how that tyre is going to run today.
I think that may be due to the track temperature. It's around about 50 degrees Celsius on track at the moment. So very, very hot out there at the moment. And Adam Webb out there on softs trying to get a run in for his qualifying. He's done 1 lap, but it did not count. So he needs to pull something special out. And remembering the second lap, usually not much in the way of battery life left. So you are very hampered on a second lap.
Adam Webb is the last car out on track and will have a whole lot of work to try and get over the line. Felipe Giro is the other driver who hasn't set a time yet and will make that run down the final corner and over the line. It's a 25.898. It's good enough to go 9th fastest overall, so that will be mid-pack. And Adam Webb inside the final 30 seconds will head to 130R, 303 kilometers an hour through the corner on the brakes into the triangle. Still traveling at over 110 kilometers an hour before dropping and descending down the hill. Shallow run to the quick finish line. And it is a case of 13th place. Lucky for some, a 126.259. That is going to be everyone then over the line, and the starting grid is going to be as follows here today. Tamas Simon on pole position, a 124.603, but a surprise alongside him in second position. Ben Fuller, the American, of course, had a dominant display, went all the way back when this car was the Williams FW31, but now it is a case of this machine, of course, the W12E Performance Mercedes. Oliver Stepanov, championship leader, will go from third. We'll have company alongside, though, in the form of Luis Nunez. And surprisingly, down the order in qualifying, Kalen Chin will start fifth, but we'll have Marcel Fassbender for company in sixth position. Kent Nielsen and Thomas Wieck will line up on row 4 of the grid. The fifth row, ninth position for Felipe Giro. Anthony Catt, who has been very, very consistent moving through the field on strategy, will start from 10th. Northern Motta will go from 11th with Jorge Almanza, the Mexican, in 12th position overall. And over the page to Adam Webb in 13th and Jacob Swiderski in 14th. Nice to see Daniel Bieder out there and racing. The Israeli driver will start from 15th along with Federico Vicalvi in 16th position, and rounding out the field, John Pat Kelly, who will be the last driver in 17th by just 18 thousandths of a second. Drivers, though, lining themselves up. Jay, we always have to talk about it here at Suzuka, turns 1 and 2.
Yep, it's going to be hectic. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be very, very fun to watch. It is very nerve-wracking in the driver's seat, though, so I'm sure there's a few nervous drivers, especially those that didn't quite qualify as well as they would have liked. Here come the lights. We're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And now here is a chance for everyone. Green flag in the air. We're underway. Pretty okay start from Tamas Simon. Ben Fuller will get alongside. Almost contact for Kalen Chin. Almost running into, I believe, Luis Nunez as they go through the opening section. Fuller's got the jump that he's absolutely wanted. 17 drivers, all clear then, as they now enter the S's section for the first time. One off in the background in a whole heap of trouble, buried in the wall. It's Anthony Catt who's out.
He just went hard left, didn't he? Just continued. So,
Bieder.
Yeah, Bieder's out as well. He's into the wall, lost the rear wing, or damaged rear wing, so going to have a bit of work to do.
He's completely beached as well. Of course, the iRacing new damage model on those machines, and the suspension absolutely does cave in, effectively give you nowhere to go if you're in trouble in the early stages, especially in the gravel traps. So dramas already. 2 drivers out in the opening lap of this 26 at this stage. They run to spoon for the first time, and the good news for those drivers at the front of the field is that they will not have the DRS until lap 3. That flap will open and give them the opportunity. They'll have to use their battery if they want to make passes here on the run to 130R. And there's a spinner in the background, and you've caught it right now. Adam Webb's gone around for a bit of a helter-skelter.
It's an easy one to do at spoon as well. You can just hit that AstroTurf on the outside, and it can shoot you around and spin you out quite easily. But chaotic first lap, but at the front of the field, staying single file and nobody breaking away like we would often expect and often see in this series. The top 9 all single file separated by almost nothing as Thomas Wieck into the pits.
Yeah, so Wieck ultimately doesn't look like anything too wrong with that. So there might be damage for Thomas Wieck from the opening lap. Might have been contact with a certain driver being Anthony Catt. So keep an eye on Thomas Wieck. He might try and switch strategy. Almost everybody started. In fact, everybody did start on the yellow wall medium compound tyres. Wieck's gone to the white wall hard off of his stop. So let's take a look then at the opening lap. And this is how Anthony Catt found himself in trouble. Just 2 into 1 and effectively skipped over the front nose And that was trouble there. And then here's Daniel Bieder's incident as he just tries to get into the corner and car just snaps, maybe netcode.
Yeah, it's unlucky there, isn't it? It's nothing major happened there. It just seemed to go and around.
Speaking of going around, Thomas Veek's actually just gone around coming up through the Dunlop curve. So those hard tyres definitely need a little bit to get in. Well, if they weren't warm, they are now. And his race going from bad to catastrophic at this point in time. This is the back of the train running through then 130R. Felipe Giro, Norton Motta just in front. Kent Nielsen, who is there in the party, the battle for 7th and 8th and 9th. And this is crucial because they've got to stay in range of the group in front. If they can manage to stay in that group, I'd say they've got a good chance of a top 5 finish today.
Yeah, I mean, anyone in this group has a legitimate shot at a top 5. It's crazy to think we've got so many cars that are in this lead group that have broken away, and it's 6 seconds from 9th back to 10th, but less than that separating the whole top 9. It's crazy to think how big of a gap there is already formed in these two groups, two splintered groups. One group of 3 cars with Almantha. Who else is in there? John Pat Kelly, Calvi as well. So, yeah, it's surprising how many have stuck in this lead group. And of course, now DRS is going to help them when they get on that back straight and the overpass. Might start seeing a little bit of moving and shuffling start to happen.
Jacob Swiderski's just come into the pits and he's come out on the set of the soft compound tyre. So Swiderski, very interesting call there to do that. That would indicate to me something in essence of a 2-stop strategy today, which is definitely going to lose a little bit of time in the long run. There is Tamas Simon in second. Behind him, the championship leader, Oliver Stepanov, who cannot afford to put a wrong foot in place today, especially when you consider here, Jay, that this is the strongest strength of field that they'll probably have all season.
Yeah, exactly right. It's a huge, huge chance to get points. And interesting, no DRS for Tamas Simon. He's just outside that 1 second at the activation point. So he's now going to have to work very, very hard. And look at how close Oliver Stepanov has closed in on Tamas Simon just from that DRS.
Oh, and I've just noticed Kent Nielsen run wide through turn 2. So he's dropped the position then. And he had a huge save through the opening corner. Did well to get it gathered back up at the cost of just 1 position. But everybody is struggling in these hot conditions. The car's wanting to break every chance it gets. Huge
understeer there, wasn't it? It was very, very lucky, as you said, to...
I try and get a different angle there, Jay.
Yeah, I will. I'll get another look at that. But yeah, that was very, very lucky that didn't end up a lot worse than it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kent Nielsen only dropping 1 position behind Felipe Giro out there at that point in time. So there's still a lot of work then to be done in this race to get back into position. And no DRS will mean help for Oliver Stepanov, who will have the chance now to break forward in this race and use that DRS to attack.
It's still over a second between Simon and Ben Fuller. So Ben Fuller will have a little bit of a breath of relief there with the fact that he's outside that 1 second. Stepanov, well and truly within the second. Look at the DRS flap open, and he's going to get this move done, you would think, rather easily.
Yeah, use the overtake button as well. Deploy all of the energy recovery system and move through on the inside. Oliver Stepanov is not wasting time, moving up into second position, and crucially made that pass in such a way there, Jay, where he wasn't able to lose out. Now here's a little look on board. This is what Kent Nielsen had to deal with. Look at that, just the smallest correction to keep the car pointing in a straight line, Jay.
How little did he move the wheel, even though that was a huge slide through turn 1. I'm amazed at how well he held on to that, considering how much sliding was going on. He just had so much confidence in how the car was going to respond when it was sliding. So that's some brilliant driving there.
Speaking of drivers who are responding, I'd keep an eye on Kalen Chin right now. He's really closed up to the back of Luis Nunez as Fuller. That gap 1.1 seconds has been coming down this lap. But here for Kalen Chin, knows he can't afford to sit behind Luis Nunez too long. Nunez is right up there in the championship. Kalen Chin also there. And Kalen Chin, of course, the last time we went to a Japanese circuit here in this series, in this season, he was fighting for the victory and got the victory over Oliver Stepanov. It might be a certain point in time that this might be a track that he likes, because he might have an affinity to what is a very different surface property here at Suzuka compared to most other circuits around the world.
And in regards to the championship, we didn't see him in the championship standings where he legitimately should be. He missed one round, so he's a little bit out of sequence with the other drivers in this championship at the moment. So expect to see Kalen Chin close up those championship points later in the season. And very, very good young driver is Kalen.
Certainly has been. Best 8 of 12 scores, remember, count towards the championship, as has been for forever, and I would say 58 years, or however long iRacing's been open. Best 8 of 12 has been the traditional marker for most, if not all, iRacing series out there. So that is worth just keeping in the back of the mind, as Oliver Stepanov right now, we go on board, running through 200 right and heading towards the Spoon corner. We keep a good eye on this, because this is an indicator of how close you need to be through these sections to give yourself an opportunity, dropping down the hill, out of the exit, and trying to put the power back on. And I believe no lights on the dash, which indicates that there is no DRS.
See if it comes up at the activation point at the approach into the Casio Triangle, just in the braking zone. No light.
No light, no DRS. So for Oliver Stepanov, he had just clawed that gap down to 0.9 of a second, but he needs a little bit more in order to feel comfortable. The issue for Kalen Chin in terms of his battle is that Luis Nunez has DRS from Tamas Shimon, and it is an incredibly close top 5 at this point in time. They really are in their own race. In terms of battles further down the field, there is a good battle going on for 11th and 12th position at this point in time. Federico Vicalvi having a good race here with John Pat Kelly at this moment in time here on lap 7. These two, I think, have been fantastically profiteering of other drivers' mistakes. Both of them +5 and the biggest movers in the field.
Yeah, exactly right. They've just kept themselves out of trouble and just taken the spots away that everyone else has thrown away. So it's always a good result when you just gain spots due to others' errors. It makes it nice and easy to make overtakes when nobody else is out on track in front of you. They're just throwing away their positions. They'll be looking to gain a few more, because there'll no doubt be more casualties in this race. Interesting, the gap now is around about a 10th less than it was last time. We'll see if Stepanov can get DRS this time.
Well, this would be a little bit more helpful if Oliver Stepanov could, really jamming down the gears, and there is the green light, which indicates, yes, I do have the DRS, I do have that available. But the key for Oliver Stepanov is Ben Fuller. This is his first start this season. Technically here at round 5, he could fight for the championship, could Ben Fuller, but he'd have to race 8 straight races in this series, which isn't the easiest job in the world. The good news for Oliver Stepanov is everyone he's fighting against is behind him right now.
Yeah, exactly right. That's the positive he's got to take away. Even if he can't get this move done, the drivers that he's fighting against in the championship, the likes of Nunez, the likes of Chin, the likes of Simon, the likes of Fassbender, all behind him at the moment, and that's important. In saying that, wouldn't be surprised to see something creative from Oliver Stepanov in regards to pit stop strategy and tyre strategy. Try and make the jump on Ben Fuller.
I would also say as well that Oliver Stepanov has been a lot more versed in this machinery than Ben Fuller has in recent times. So I would think Stepanov has a slight advantage on that front. There is the view from the back of car number 2. Ben Fuller, second highest I rating, only to the driver behind him in Oliver Stepanov. And one of the keys that these drivers know is that they want to beat their number. But Kalen Chin has found the move then on Luis Nunez, because Nunez has run wide coming off of Spoon, slightly missing the apex. Actually had to catch a slide going through Spoon, the exit of Spoon, and that has cost him time. And it might have just cost both of them DRS.
Yeah, 1.3 seconds between Kalen Chin and Tamas Simon. Interesting, Tamas Simon is now over the 1 second as well, so The lead group is definitely splintering, and this is giving Oliver Stepanov the green light to start and attack and fight. Literally the green light with the DRS closing that gap up.
Ben Fuller was so late on that defense, that final defense going through. Here's a look at the view that Kalen Chin had. You can see going through Spoon. Whoa, car snaps, and he does very well, does Luis Nunez, to keep it out of the gravel trap there at Spoon and keep the race alive. But these top two, I do want to talk about Ben Fuller. He moved pretty much as late, and it really does bring to mind late as 2000 Michael Schumacher late at Spa when Hakkinen had to go around Zonta to make the pass.
Your memory's better than mine. I don't remember. In saying that, interesting that I've never watched too many Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka, because it's always been on the same weekend as the Bathurst 1000. So, and it's usually on at the same time. So I haven't actually been able to watch too many Japanese Grand Prix.
Well, the Japanese Grand Prix, in my mind, has been I would say, celestial body of great racing. It always seems to find a way to deliver, and it's doing so right here. Lap 9 of 26, big wiggle from Ben Fuller on the power, immediately trying to shake Stepanov once, twice. They're allowed as many movements as they want here in iRacing, and here comes Stepanov trying the long way around. That's not going to work at turn 1. Ben Fuller using that downforce fantastically to cover off that move. And the more they start scrapping like this, they'll bring Tamas Simon, the Hungarian, back in. Kalen Chin, the Australian, who I believe lives out in Singapore right now. And then Luis Nunez, the car number 7, out on track. The Spaniard might want to get in on this as well. They've got a great gap of about 4 seconds to Marcel Fassbender in 6th.
It's still going on too, this battle between these two's continuing. It was down to about a tenth and a bit, so we'll keep one eye on that as well, but we'll go back to the front. And Stepanov has now, with his battling, brought Tamas Simon back within 1 second. So this group could close up again, just based on the DRS opening potentially for Tamas Simon this lap.
And I tell you what, I'm keeping an eye out on how long they go on those medium tyres and when they want to jump towards either soft or hard tyres. You'd think now if they started to pit, they'd move to the hard tyre. If they're going to about lap 16, lap 17, they'll move to the soft. So they are really trying to dance, and these hotter conditions might play a factor in terms of how late drivers decide they want to come down in and make a stop. Through the final corner and onto the front stretch once again. It's a small trek downhill towards turn number 1. So they've got that working with them. Stepanov close again, but once more, no cigar. Has to wait with the American in front from Indiana. So Ben Fuller knows he has got himself the advantage at this point in time, but he will be looking behind and seeing that group close and close and close.
And Tamas Simon had DRS that time, so that whole group closes the gap down to the lead. The entire group here of 5 cars separated by 2.7 seconds. Literally nothing separating the top 5 for the moment. Marcel Fassbender has dropped a huge margin behind. Remember, he was at the back of this group, and now is over 5 seconds behind Luis Nunez. So Marcel Fassbender, who is no slouch, has not had it to stick with these guys at the front.
No, I certainly agree. Marcel Fassbender's race is behind him right now with Felipe Giro, Kent Nielsen and Northern Motta. That's his race at this point in time. But once again, top 2 snaking their way up over this bridge. And it's a very well disguised bridge here at 130R. You do not realise when you tip yourself in to the left-hander that you're going over the run-up to the hairpin out there on track. It's wonderfully done, but again, it is now the group starting to bring themselves back together. Stepanov will be looking forward. So too now Kalen Chin. Tamas Simon will also have to look behind, and once more, they serpentine along the front stretch. Stepanov will not get close enough to make a move, but here comes one. Kalen Chin is on the podium.
Kalen Chin through. Takes 3rd spot away from Tamas Simon, and I'm wondering if Tamas is thinking, well, I don't have the pace to match these guys, I might as well let him through anyway. He didn't fight that too aggressively, he didn't defend that position really at all. It's been a huge moment out on track for Jacob Swiderski though.
Yeah, so Swiderski, remember, came in for the soft tyre, and this might be a deterrent for everyone. Just pushed a little bit too hard and has absolutely clobbered the barriers there at Degner 2, and that will be Swiderski's race all over and done with. The fourth retiree from this race, Anthony Catt, Daniel Bieder, Adam Webb, and Jacob Swiderski, all finding retirements then in this race. So they will have a lot of work to do over the rest of the weeks to gain those points back, because Anthony Catt especially, he's looking probably to be really strong out there, and I've just seen a mistake for Marcel Fassbender, which has just brought Felipe Giro within 1 second range.
That gap's closed down very quickly too. I mean, it was closing anyway, so Felipe Giro
Next to the spoon.
Right there now, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is, and I tell you what, Marcel Fassbender might just be finding out how much grit is there, because they are now moving on to the halfway lap of this race, lap 13 of 26, and there goes Luis Nunez down the inside of Tamas Simon. I think he's overcooked his tyres early on in this race.
I think he's struggling for grip as well. I think he's realised that, hang on, these tyres don't want to perform as well as expected. This is Fassbender, as you said. Oh, exactly the same as what we saw from Nunez. Almost ended in tears, but he's done a great job to recover it.
Yeah, he did an incredible job, and that is how simple on the Virtual Racing School replay you can make a mistake here at Suzuka. It is a truly testing track. Top three have broken away. Luis Nunez is back over a second at this point in time. In fact, he's back 1.6 at this moment, so he's going to need a little bit of help to get back. But Fuller, Stepanov, and Chin, your top three at this moment in time. They run through Spoon and down the hill before they crest the rise, back up again, and look to try and use that draft towards 130R. Any time between now and probably in the next 3 to 5 laps, I'd expect everyone to make decisions on when they come into the pits, because it is a mandatory stop in this race. They must use 2 different compound tyres. On cue, in comes the race leader.
I'm surprised that Ben Fuller came in there. I'm not surprised that we saw a pit stop at that point, but I'm surprised in who's the one that's decided, yeah, I'm going to pit. Felipe Giro as well, who was behind Marcel Fassbender, has come in as well. So 2 pit stops from the front. Off. Ben Fuller missed his pit box as well, had to reverse a tiny little bit. Onto the softs he goes, away he goes.
That will cost him time, but he'll have to give or gain that time back again using the Red Wall soft compound tyre. Giro away, Nielsen was in, Northern Motta was giving chase into the pits as well. Jorge Almanta's come in. What a scrap coming out of the pits. Northern Motta's gained so much on Kent Nielsen during that stop period.
Yeah, and looking at the pit deltas, he hasn't really gained too much in the actual lane, so it must have been the approach into the pit entry that he's gained all of his time there. Back out on the soft compound tyres, and away they go.
Away they go, and you can see that little bit of cloud cover that has just come over the circuit. In-sim time, by the way, is 20 to 1 in the afternoon. That track, just by that cloud cover alone here, Jay, has dropped the track temperature by 5 degrees.
And who does that help? Ben Fuller. Now that he's already onto the softs, it's going to give them a tiny, tiny little bit of extra life, just not having that track temperature. So,
Leaders in.
Yep.
Oh, and they're both so aggressive when it comes to the markers, and they both locked up. Tamas Simon will be the only one, I believe, who stays out then of the leading group. So Simon will go as long as possible here, but the big factor is that those drivers were so aggressive trying to get into the pits. Ben Fuller makes his way down the front stretch right now, expecting to re-inherit the race lead. He'll have to fight Stepanov through turn 1, side by side, and sweeping around the outside. Ben Fuller regains the race lead.
Wow, beautiful move from Ben Fuller to take the lead back. And almost enough there from Ollie Stepanov to steal it away, but just couldn't quite do it. Interesting pit stop times. Long stop from Stepanov, but very quick in the pit lane. So that little bit of a reverse that Ben Fuller had to do has almost cost him the race lead. But that one flying lap with the track cooling down has been enough for him to hold on.
Has been enough for him to hold on, but you also have to remember at this stage he will have 1 lap older tyres compared to Stepanov, compared to Kalen Chin, and that is going to be him having to hold on in the final couple of laps of this race. Another great battle as well. Felipe Giro, Marcel Fassbender, the fight going on for 7th position right now. The two pretty much have been together on circuit since Marcel Fassbender's mistake. Fassbender, I think, is faster on pace, but Felipe Giro can work. Finally, Tamas Simon will come into the pits and at this point, surely, relinquish the race lead.
Yeah, he'll likely slot in with Luis Nunez, who has actually dropped a little bit of ground in the pit stop phase as well. He's now 2.3 seconds behind Kalen Chin. It was around about 1.5 pre-pit stops. So surprised how much he has dropped from Simon away, and he's going to come out behind Luis Nunez. So these guys that are going that little bit longer, the track temperature is definitely hurting them.
Yeah, this is a very firm 5th now for Tamas Simon. Vercalvi also jumping into the pits. A little look to the outside. Oh, this is brave against Kent Nielsen. Northern Motta trying the aggressive around the outside strategy. Didn't quite work. Brazilian versus Canadian out on circuit, and Kent Nielsen is trying everything to hold on. Look how Northern Motta can tuck right up underneath through the S's. Where is that dirty air effect? I don't see any of it as they run up through.
The only thing I'm seeing is bravery. That's not something you see too many drivers try to do. And I mean, no offense to Kent, he'll be one to admit it, but his latency definitely has caused some havoc in other races in this series. So Motta to tuck up under that rear wing as close as he did would have been rather nerve-wracking, but he's done a very, very good job to make sure there was no contact. And the dirty air may have come into effect through the Degners, and now he's dropped back a little bit, but he'll get it back closed in again by the time they get to turn 1.
It also might be a setup philosophy out there on track. Maximum downforce could be in the offing there, but leaders once again, 1 and 2, Fuller and Stepanov running on the front stretch. Stepanov's going to have to go the long way around again. This time he thinks about putting a nose alongside, but Ben Fuller once again is wise to it. And I think it's been very clear that Oliver Stepanov hasn't really shown his hand on how aggressive he can be. He's been very passive. He's been letting Ben Fuller have the corner every time. If it gets to lap 26 and they're starting, I can see him try and make a move, for example, like Kimi Räikkönen did on Giancarlo Fisichella to win the race back in 05.
Been an incident between these two, that being Otter and Nielsen at turn 1, so we'll try and pick up exactly what happened, but they were side by side through the corner, and Northern Motta was off the circuit.
Oh, well, it looks like Northern Motta here, and we're going to see it right now. Runs through, gets the pass almost scored, and then tries to cut back down. And I don't think he really expected Kent Nielsen to still be there fighting for the place. Nielsen pretty much got his car up alongside. So Northern Motta, I just didn't think was awake to the fact that Kent Nielsen was there. And it doesn't look like there was any damage with that hit to the side pod.
I think he's going to get away with it. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't think he was expecting Kent Nielsen to still be defending the position. And Nielsen's allowed to defend, so nothing wrong with it. Bang.
Yeah, Kent Nielsen makes the corner, and there is that aesthetic damage, which doesn't really help too much, but ultimately Northern Motta is able to continue on. Stepanov still unable to make that move, and might be a little bit hesitant to make a pass on Ben Fuller right now, because that gap is about 1.5 seconds over to Kalen Chin, so they're trying to maybe distance Kalen Chin in this race to make sure it's a fight for first and second and not first, second and third.
Yeah, try and break the gap a little bit further between just these two, and then they know that they're in their own little fight and they'll be able to break away and do their own thing. We've seen that in many, many races before, where two drivers at the front will work together for a couple of laps, break the hearts of the drivers behind, and then go and fight amongst themselves for a little bit. But yeah, they've definitely slowed down their battle. This one hasn't slowed though. They were side by side again into turn 1. Oh, a little bit of contact. Oh.
That is a push to pass from Felipe Giro. I'm not sure Kent Nielsen's going to be too happy underneath that helmet. A little bump, a small bump going through just at the point of braking. And I tell you what, Kent Nielsen could have very easily have found himself in those barriers the same way Jacob Swiderski was earlier on in this race. But he was pretty much on the binders getting it stopped.
100%. That was Very, very aggressive. I'm surprised at how aggressive he was in making that overtake there. Contact
See
once,
it here, bang.
unsettle the car, then through you go.
Yeah, as pretty expansive as iRacing is, that was straight out of the NASCAR playbook there, Jay.
He's been watching the Cup Series a little bit too much. Been watching the NASCAR guys. A little bit of a push to pass. Not the IndyCar style push to pass. They're back at it again. And Kent Nielsen will get the spot back because Northern Motor was off to go and visit the crowd at turn 2.
I'll tell you what, they were side by side actually coming in towards turn 2, and Kent Nielsen has just shepherded him and shown him where the crowd was at turn 2. So that essentially a receipt as they went through.
This has been a great battle, hasn't it? It's been entertaining. I mean, it's been chaotic, but yeah, just saying, well, you want to hit me? I'll make sure that you're forced wide. There was no contact there between them, but if he wanted to go through, or hold the spot, I should say, he's going to have to make contact. Here they go again. Oh, no!
Oh, no! That's a massive accident there for one Mr. Kent Nielsen. Oh, you just had that feeling that great battle was going to come to an end in a shower of fireworks, and it does in, I would say, very explosive fashion.
And the interesting thing to that, they both have hit the incident limit as well, so that'll mean that there's a penalty coming for Motor as well. Yeah, this got a little bit crazy. There's a little bit of red mist within this battle. We don't like to see the red mist. That was quite aggressive. And unfortunately, Kent Nielsen will have to watch the rest of this race from the sidelines.
Yes, and there are no fast repairs here in this series, and it really does show. But Northern Motor will have to come in, serve a drive-through, I believe it's a stop-and-hold penalty, potentially.
It's a drive-through, he's already served it.
Sorry, yeah, it is a drive-through. It has been served. So Northern Motor has come out, and he'll be behind Federico Vicalvi. So he'll be back in 11th position in this one. Lead battle, though, with what will be 6 laps to go when they cross the start-finish line. Fuller versus Stepanov, and Stepanov not as willing this time to really shake and move about on circuit. Wants to just get as close as possible, not wear out his tyres by effectively driving this 5.81 kilometre circuit as a 6.5 kilometre circuit like Ben Fuller's doing right now.
I hope Ben Fuller put enough fuel in the car with the extra meterage that he's doing weaving around the track. Definitely making the tyres work, and of course they are slightly older. The interesting thing for mine is that Kalen Chin has maintained the gap. They haven't broken away. They haven't been able to use the DRS between the pair of them to break the gap. It stayed around that 1.5 second bracket ever since the pit stops. So Kalen Chin is there, ready to pounce on the smallest error. These two go side by side. That'll be back in a DRS range. So I reckon Stepanov's aware of that. That's why he's not going for the move, not trying to do anything silly to bring Kalen Chin into the fight, where then he has to watch in the mirrors as well as try and overtake.
Speaking of back in DRS range, I just saw it in the background there for 4th and 5th. Luis Nunez has been caught by Tamas Simon, who does look like he's incredibly quick on the soft compound tyre. 27.5 last time by. He was fastest by a mile compared to the rest of the field on that soft tyre.
Yeah, compare that to Stepanov, he's 4/10 quicker, so... oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go. For the lead, Stepanov trying to go through at 130R, didn't work at the triangle, was trying to go through. That might have caught Ben Fuller unawares that he can make the move into the Casio triangle. He'll have another look. DRS wide open. Here comes the move then to the outside, and suddenly Oliver Stepanov, championship leader, reigning champion, race lead.
Beautiful move in the end there. He just set that up beautifully. Caught Fuller unaware. I think Ben Fuller may have been thinking the same sort of logic as us, working together to try and make sure that Kalen Chin isn't in the fight. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he's thought that, bang, make the move, make the overtake. Through he goes, and he's already broken half a second. So I'm guessing he's using every single piece of the recovery system battery to break this gap as much as he can. And Kalen Chin, have a look at that, now within 0.8 of a second. That is DRS range. Of course, we'll find out when we get to the Casio Triangle if he's got it, but I would say that he's now in the fight to try and steal second away from Ben Fuller.
Yeah, but look at how much time he's fighting against going through Spoon. It was up at 1.1, down to 0.9. It was pretty much here, there, and everywhere. And for Oliver Stepanov right now, he will be like brave Sir Robin from Monty Python. He'll try to bravely run away in the final 5 laps of this race. Is there anything there for Kalen Chin? No, there is not. So he'll still have to work hard to get onto the back of Ben Fuller, who will still be trying to get through Tamas Simon, find out what Dirty Air is all about. Remember, he was running some incredibly quick times, but all of a sudden, he cannot close up that gap enough to Luis Nunez.
They're not quite able to get it now that he's within that half second, so just maintaining the gap as it is for now. Yeah, the battle between Fassbender and Giro has also closed up. It was around about 6-7 tenths of a second, but it's now down to 3 or 4. So Giro last lap by was around about half a second quicker than Marcel Fassbender. So this gap closing, I'm wondering if Fassbender may have done a little bit too much in his tyres. Try to hold on to the spot. Felipe Giro now may be able to steal a 6th place away.
Absolutely, and Giro is trying to make his way up. Started in 9th position, is up now into 7th. So a gain of 2. Luis Nunez gone. And is that the carbon or the patented incident that happened coming out of that Dunlop hairpin? It absolutely was on the very last limit of acceleration. Torque oversteer, and goodbye, Luis Nunez's race.
That's heartbreaking because he was doing a great job consolidating another good result. Not necessarily the pace to win the race, but he's just been doing enough each and every event he's been in. But just onto the curb, bang into the wall. That's huge.
That's sudden. You can't stop those. You can see the car lisking over as like it's about to capsize. That was a very, very awkward moment out on track, but this race still far from over. 3 laps to go as we focus still on the battle for what is now the top 5. Fassbender versus Giro. Giro 0.8 of a second over the line. Still needs a little bit of help to get close. Fassbender actually quicker on that last time by.
A big moment here from Motta through the S's. Have a look at this.
Oh dear.
Just hits the tyre bundle. Only just.
Well, just is the key. He managed to scrub off enough speed there, locking up the brakes, Jay, so that he didn't go in, completely demolishing suspension. Here comes the move then to the inside. That's for Calvi, making the pass then on John Pat Kelly. John Pat Kelly, probably the most experienced driver in this field, knows when and when not to fight.
Yeah, just take your time, enjoy the race, and steal positions away, and somehow he's going to find himself in another top 10 without doing anything extreme, anything too special. He just can consolidate positions each and every race and does it very, very well. And these two guys are up, what, 8 positions each?
Absolutely, and this will be a huge points haul for them today, going up these 8 places. On top of that, it'll be a huge iRating gain because they are also the last 2 on iRating. Oliver Stepanov getting so close there to the inside wall, the pit wall, going through the opening section, trying to break the DRS, and he is outside of a second now. He got so close to the wall there, Jay, that iRacing prediction physics thought that he'd actually hit it.
Crazy when that happens, when they get that close. It's amazing how close these guys are pushing the limits and how far they're pushing these margins. Incredible to watch, and way too much skill for me. There's no way I could compete with how good these guys are.
Oh, you can see how much Ben Fuller's pushing. Gets really sketchy over the AstroTurf at Degner 2. He is trying to push, but I think the 1 lap difference now in those soft compound tyres compared to Oliver Stepanov are now starting to show. The gap 1.3 seconds, and this is the worst kind of pain as a racing driver. Not when you get beaten by 2 seconds, 3 seconds, when you just see that gap slowly stretch, 10th by 10th, and you are powerless to stop it.
It's that one lap tyre difference. We didn't think it would play too much havoc, but maybe it's more of a difference than we thought. So it's going to be the white flag this time by. Start the final lap of the race.
They absolutely will. Oliver Stepanov, there is Barney the flagman. Not quite up on a perch, but he's found a small space to get his white flag waving out there at the moment. Fuller in second, Kalen Chin in third, Tamash Simon in fourth position right now, and there are many a race still to be decided. It looks like Fassbender is trying to shake off Felipe Giro. That gap 0.6 of a second as they run into the opening section of the track, and Giro not quite close enough yet to make anything happen of that move. Gap's pretty much open everywhere else, but for Oliver Stepanov, he is half a lap away.
And a very, very intelligent, mature drive from him. He didn't force anything until it was the right time. Caught Ben Fuller absolutely unaware, because you and I also thought there was no way he was looking to make a move yet. We thought that he was going to wait a little bit longer and wait a little bit longer, but he's used that to his advantage, taken the position away, and then ever since he got in the lead, he's just stormed away.
Ben Fuller is one of the best sim racers in the world right now. May not have found himself in many high-level series, but he is absolutely, pound for pound, fantastic on pace. But Oliver Stepanov has just proven today why the Mercedes W12E Performance is his car as he runs out of the triangle, down the hill. Oliver Stepanov, a champion's drive, will win here at Suzuka. What a fantastic drive by him. Fuller second, Chin in third, Tamash Simon will cross in fourth. Some wonderful, wonderful racing, and every driver in that top four has pushed each other to the biggest limit that they could possibly find out here today.
Yeah, there wasn't much left out on track from any of those guys in the top six, and heart goes out to Luis Nunez, who deserved much better finish than what he will get in 12th, but what a good fun race that was. And these two guys here, I want to shout out to these two guys. They have put on a great race of sportsmanship, and just shows that you may not have the outright pace to win races, but you can still have fantastic results by keeping your car out of trouble and keeping clean and being respectful to those around you.
Oh, you certainly can, and they proved it today with their jumps of 8 places each out there. The last car over the line will be Northern Motta, who found himself in the complete opposite thralls of that here today. Of course, running into dramas with Kent Nielsen, and those two, I believe, have deleted each other off of their Christmas card lists, and Northern Motta, I believe, will be cruising around home and making absolute sure that he is not going to be getting any more instant points out there today. So confirmation of results then, it is Oliver Stepanov who will cross the line as your winner in 38 minutes and 31 seconds and will win by 1.6 seconds over Ben Fuller in second position. Kalen Chin will take third after his drive will be a very good consolidation of points, with Tamash Simon in fourth and Marcel Fassbender rounding out the top 5. Felipe Giro was just behind him in 6th position, and an incredibly quiet drive today from Jorge Almanza. We hardly saw anything of him, but he still managed to get a 7th place finish for his troubles. Great driving by him. Federico Vicalvi will finish in 8th, a gain of 8 places, along with John Pat Kelly, who finished in 9th. Thomas Wieck had to pit on the opening lap of the race, switched on to the white wall hard compound tyre, and gets a top 10 for his troubles, does the Dane. Last finisher in this race was Northern Motta. We all saw his journey with Kent Nielsen today, and the retirees, Luis Nunez, of course, Kent Nielsen out there having the most dramatic flip I have seen in these Mercedes over at Spoon, and then Jacob Swiderski, and then the 3 on the opening 2 laps, Adam Webb, Daniel Bieder, and Anthony Katz, only managing a race lasting 3 corners over the course of action today. But that is not going to be it for the season. It will be the halfway round next time we see you, which is 1 week from today, the 23rd of July, and it will be from the Hockenheim Ring. And this is going to be a different challenge from what Suzuka is. Some similarities, yes, But this, especially that final sector, Jay, is going to be one of the most challenging that they will face all season.
100%. It's an amazing track, and if we see really hot track conditions like we saw today, you're going to see tyres get absolutely destroyed. So yeah, bring it on. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a very, very fun track each and every round we've seen in the championship so far.
I would also like to point out at the end of that race, Ben Fuller had 15 incidents and Oliver Stepanov had 14. They were right on the limit. One wrong move between the pair of them and their races would have been over in terms of scoring the points that they needed to today. But a massive thanks has to go to everyone who gets it done for us here at the SimSpeed TV for this coverage of the iRacing Grand Prix Series. First and foremost, the iRacing open wheel community who give us the opportunity to bring these races to life and in front of all of you. They do an incredible job. Make sure you give them some love as they go forward. On top of that, to the Virtual Racing School who have been on the replays for us here today, as they have been for the last couple of years. From the crew who's got it done, Jay Kennedy, double duties, cameras and commentary, myself, Jake Sperry, that from Oliver Stepanov was a masterclass of a drive. Had to be pushed to the limit by a former champion in this series in the form of Ben Fuller, but Oliver Stepanov had that little extra more understanding of this car, of what you need to do to get victories, and he managed to exercise that at the perfect time, at the perfect place. Watch out for this championship. This is going to be one of the most amazing championship fights, I think, over the entirety of the iRacing service. And on top of that, we go to the resting place of a legendary Formula One driver in the form of Jim Clark. We'll see you at the Hockenheim Ring 1 week from today.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.